Good day, everyone. For today's training, we will discuss the Crowdsourcing Handbook. Now, for crowdsourcing process flowchart, it refers to the end-to-end process ng ating crowdsourcing function. When our DC is in need of an additional manpower for limited time only, the first step would be this is the responsibility of every district managers to request for the activation ng crowdsourcing capacity function sa backyard ng kanyang mga DC supervisors. Kanino ito nire-request? To network support, particularly to Sir Danny, the network support supervisor. Once it is activated, the DC supervisor can now use this crowdsourcing capacity function and apply to release the crowdsourcing task. The question is if the application is approved. If yes, we will move on to the next step. But if not, then that's the end of the process. Okay, so if the application is approved, it is the responsibility of the DC supervisor with the help of the DC officer to gather the needed information by the network support from the crowdsourcing applicant. Later, we will discuss what are the following information. Then, it should be submitted to network support. Next, once done, the DC supervisor and with the help of the DC officer are the responsible ones to conduct the training about crowdsourcing handbook to your crowdsourcing applicants. So this supervisor, you are encouraged to train your DC officer about this handbook. Moving on, now the driver or the crowdsourcing applicant download the Fleet VIP and will log in. To continue, the crowdsourcing applicant is required to do the registration and account authentication in Fleet VIP before to proceed with the task. And while we are finishing the steps mentioned, at the same time, the network support is the one to verify the collected information from the CSC. They are also the one to approve or reject the registration. In the case that it is approved, the crowdsourcing can now view the crowdsourcing task in Fleet VIP. And to accept the task, the crowdsourcing need to choose among the tasks and just click the accept button. Next step, pupunta na ang crowdsourcing courier sa ating DC to report for work based on the task date they have chosen. The first thing to do once arrived para sa ating mga CSC is to click Arrive in Fleet VIP. Next is the crowdsourcing courier can now start with the handover by clicking the handover button. Then, the Fleet VIP will automatically jump to the kit since the two are connected. Next step, the crowdsourcing courier will hand over the parcels using the kit. The same process with the regular couriers. Then, the crowdsourcing courier after the handover is finished, ang gagawin ni courier ay mag-deliver na ng parcel. After a day of delivery, babalik na ang crowdsourcing courier sa DC since there will be times na mayroon tayong mga undelivered parcels. The crowdsourcing courier should hand over those parcels, if ever, to our DC officers. And it is the task of the DC officer to validate kung match ang quantity ng actual parcel versus sa kit. If ever the crowdsourcing courier receives cash on delivery or COD, ite-turn over nila ang amount or cash collected kay DC supervisor because it is only the DC supervisor who is authorized to finish the remittance using their own kit on behalf of the crowdsourcing courier. Once the remittance is done, the D supervisor needs to print the digit using our branch system and isisend ito sa network support. Then, once it is verified, network support is the one to apply for the CSC payment via email. The last step the finance will pay the crowdsourcing courier via GCash. Next slide. Based on the flow chart, the first step is the district manager to apply for the activation of crowdsourcing capacity, application, and backyard. For those supervisor na kailangan ng crowdsourcing, to request, the district manager will just collect the name and the contact number of their DC supervisor, then it should be submitted to Sir Danny from network support team. His contact information is listed on the screen. In the event that the DC is experiencing high volume of parcels, the D supervisor can apply to release tasks through the backyard. The steps are, first, using the backyard sa approval, click the branch operations folder, then tap the crowdsource capacity application and fill in the needed details. The approval line would be from the D supervisor to apply, AM to approve, and last is the network QC. Just a reminder, ang gagawing request ay dapat nagbabase lamang sa demand ng operation. Let's talk about what are the needed information. First, the D supervisor should fill in the application branch. Once done, the handover place will be automatically filled in. Next is the maximum numbers of days for crowdsourcing tasks in 7 days only. The D supervisor can select the 7 days na sunod-sunod na araw or less than 7 days. For the handover start time, it is the decision of the D supervisor to choose what time dapat mag-start ang shift ni crowdsourcing courier. Next detail to fill in is the average parcels per applicant. It means kailangan mag-set ang mga D supervisor ilang parcels ang dapat na ma-deliver ng bawat crowdsourcing courier. Next is the number of applicants. Ilang crowdsourcing ang kailangan ng DC based on the demand. Last is the reason for application. This is to justify bakit nga ba kailangan ng DC ng crowdsourcing courier, and the reason should be valid. For the AM or network QC, since they are the approvers of the crowdsourcing courier, they will use the backyard to approve the application. First, sa approval option, click the My Approval. Then the approver will see the crowdsourcing application by clicking this. The system will show the application details. Take note that the approvers are capable to edit other details, which are the task date, handover start time, number of applicants, and the average parcels per applicant. After, just click the Agree button. Paano nga ba maging isang crowdsourcing courier? We have 2 steps to follow. First, once na nakahanap na ang DC ng possible candidates for crowdsourcing courier, the DC supervisor will just get the following information mula sa crowdsourcing applicants at kailangang isubmit ito sa network support through the link provided on the screen. The next step is the crowdsourcing courier will just complete the registration and the authentication in Fleet VIP application. And that's all for our first part ng ating crowdsourcing handbook. Thank you!